everybody, and welcome to the media show on the Pod TV network. I'm Nick Pallavita. I'll be your moderator for today's show, and hopefully we're not going to see too much the rant going on today, but let's bring in the ranters himself from formerly with Jimmy Kimmel Live, member of the Mega Society from Los Angeles, California, Rick Rosner. Welcome to the show. Yeah, hopefully we won't have too much spillage over on our topic today, which is, of course, the firings that we've had take place last week in the media industry. And with that, a person who hasn't been fired yet, he lives in the San Francisco Bay Area, one of the top chess players in the world, and author of the famous chess tome, Chess for Dummies. Let's bring in the non-dummy himself, Jim Eade from San Francisco. Good to have you here.
The days early, haven't been fired.
Yeah, days early, right, yeah. The other person who actually runs one of our famous chess shows, Russia, China, Ukraine, and Modern Investing. Let's bring in from Canada, Sasha Starr. And then finally, the person who's the president of the Pod TV network from the Raleigh-Durham area. We're going to bring in Kim Calhoun, and we're going to have a couple more people join us later on as they're getting our links. But the topic today is obviously firings, and I missed one firing. Apparently, the head of NBC Universal, Mr. Shell, got fired. Oh, wait. From Australia, we're going to bring it from down under, Shaquille O'Neal. No, not Shaquille O'Neal. I'm sorry, Shaquille Latimer. A different Shaquille. Okay, from Australia.
Trying to turn me into an American again, stealing my culture, you know.
I don't think
this Shaquille can't dunk.
Shaquille culture. And then, of course, the person who has...
Excuse me, James. I'll have you know that I was the best player in the E team at the high school in basketball.
Okay.
There was A, B, C, D, and there was no F. So
it's like this. F means you failed, and if you're below fail, you play on the E team. Shaquille plays on the E team. Okay, we got that. Well, apparently, we had a lot of firings. We have, of course, Mark Lee, who's our professional journalist, who actually is a journalism major. The rest of us majored in chess and some other things. I didn't get a chess degree, but okay. But see, apparently we had some people that got fired, or as they say in football, they went different directions. One was a guy named Tucker Carlson, who apparently was a big name at a media thing called Fox.
Oh, just good, Nick, as if you don't know who he is.
What? You know Tucker Carlson? I say I don't know the guy. Okay, so apparently he was shown the can, or he decided to go a different direction. So he's out of there, as they would say. Then another guy is Don Lemon, who was the Communist News Network. I'm sorry, CNN. Okay. And
the Clinton News Network, isn't it?
I think so. Anyway, he was shown the door. Whoom, gone. Another person, okay, the CEO of NBC Universal, Mr. Shell, he got shelved. Got shelved. And so what we're seeing is a lot of changes in the media industry for various different reasons. So I'll start with our media expert, who's Mark Lee.
Can I just say something real quick, because I have to just go to adjust the
stop you from saying anything wrong.
No. Just because I have to go to adjust some positions in the markets. I'll be back in about 5 minutes or so.
Okay. Right after you make $1 million. Okay, fine.
Yeah. Let me just say very quickly. I think that Dom's comments, like when he said Nikki Haley was past her prime and those sorts of things, it doesn't play well. I think there's been some issues with him for a while. And because, look, CNN let Cuomo go, let Brian Seltzer go, I think the writing was on the wall with that. So I wasn't surprised that they let him go. I was surprised at the timing and the lack of an announcement that they gave. With Tucker Carlson, I was actually quite surprised at the suddenness of that. I'm not totally surprised that he was let go. In fact, I actually thought that he would have preferred to be out on his own. But I think Fox News made a massive, massive mistake by not letting him have a goodbye show, by not letting him address his audience, and I think that's going to hurt them. I know their ratings are down, their viewership's down. They'll survive it, but I don't think that was the best move.
Well, also,
I want to interject here for a second about that, because I think Tucker, with all of the social media that we have worldwide, has had plenty of time to say goodbye to his fans via social media. His fans follow him, not necessarily Fox News. It's just like if you're in sales, your clients follow you most of the time, not the company you represent, which is something I learned a long time ago, which was great. So his relationship with his fans, they know. And I think wherever he goes, if they truly, truly love him, they'll follow him. And I think it was just time to part. I think that there was a lot of contention going on, lawsuits. Everybody wanted to blame someone. There's got to be a sacrifice lamb somewhere. And he just happened to be the sacrifice. And this is just a lesson to be learned, that no matter how great and big and popular you become, you have no security in your job, especially in broadcasting, unless you're at Pod TV.
Just on that, he was their most popular host, and there are a lot of people that tuned into Fox just for him, who may have stayed back to watch the Five, or may have come on early and watched Laura Ingraham, or whoever else.
Does it matter that he was lying and cheating?
No, Kimberly, Kimberly, I didn't talk about whether I agreed or disagreed with Dom Lemon. I'm not going to talk about whether I agree or disagree with Tucker. I'm simply saying, from the perspective of a media company, I think it's a mistake for Fox, not for Tucker. I think it's a mistake for Fox not to let him have a goodbye show, because I think they've alienated a group of people who were already upset. When Fox News called Arizona for the Democrats, they were upset. When Tucker Carlson said, I forget her name at the top of my head, the female lawyer that was making all the election fraud claims, Sidney Powell. Yeah. When Tucker Carlson called her out several times and said, "You've provided us with no evidence," that caused some level of backlash from the Trump-supporting part of the audience of Fox News. So I think the Fox News played that one pretty poorly. Again, I also think with CNN, Dom Lemon's been there for 17 years. It doesn't matter whether I like him or don't like him. That's besides the point. He should have had the opportunity to say goodbye, like they gave Brian Seltzer. They let him have his last show and say goodbye to his audience. That's just
I don't understand why they actually fired Lemon as opposed to Tucker. I understand, because Tucker just lied.
Yeah, but you don't like him. That's why you have that view.
Tucker Carlson had a goodbye message he posted on Twitter, and it was viewed 77 million times.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He had plenty of chance to say goodbye.
No, but I think Shaquille's point is well taken, that, it was pretty lousy. Go ahead, Mark. Oh, okay. I think it's pretty lousy.
I'm just ready to say, I've come up with a brilliant idea. I definitely want to hear from Jim as well and everything, but I've come up with a brilliant idea. I think that Sasha and you will love it and everything. So I don't know whether Don Lemon plays chess. I don't know whether Tucker Carlson plays. I don't know whether any of the fired people that are fired from media play chess, but I'm thinking that either next Saturday or the Saturday after that, we need to invite them onto Chess Stars, which airs on at 3:00, so that if they don't play chess, they can learn the game of chess, and y'all can teach them the game of chess here on Pod TV. So this is my new proposal. Sasha, it's your show. What do you think? So we invite Tucker Carlson, Don Lemon, and the rest of these fired folks onto the show so they can learn about the game of chess.
You can invite even Donald Trump, for that matter. Although Donald Trump plays chess, and one time he had aspirations to become a chess grandmaster, and then he was busy with some other matters like Trump University and casinos and everything else and all of that. However, by the way, we're speaking about chess, the match for World Championship ended with Chinese grandmaster Ding Lijian dethroned the favorite of this tournament, Russian grandmaster Yan Nepomniachtchi, and that was a big blow to Russia. It doesn't have enough blows these days. Here is another one. There was a big campaign of returning World Chess Championship crown to Russia. And that backfired miserably. So I don't know what they're going to explain or do about that, but that's the end of story. And now speaking about all these firings, I think you are failing to look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that Fox News prey on the audience of 70 plus million people who believed in the whole notion of election was stolen, and that all that played in this gullible audience. And all Republican Party is now building its platform, with or without Trump, on the fact that the election was stolen, that we have to return power, or so on. They don't have any viable ideas at all, and therefore, with or without Trump, I think they're doomed to lose general election. That's what's at the cornerstone of all those firings here and there, and Tucker and all that. It's a small potato, really, on a bigger picture.
Well,
Hey, Jim, what do you think of my idea of them being on the show? I know it's Sasha's show, but you are a major panelist on that show as well. So what do you think? Are you ready to teach Tucker and Don about the game of chess?
Well, I always say it's never too late to learn, but in this case, it's probably too late. I don't think.
Wait, you wrote the book Chess for Dummies. They're your natural clients.
There's opportunity. There's opportunity costs for those guys. Tucker Carlson was getting paid $30 to $35 million a year, and probably on his own he'll figure a way to make even more. So he's got other fish to fry besides learning how to play chess.
Yeah, I'm not feeling too sorry for Tucker Carlson, but I'd like to get back to the classlessness of how he was dismissed. You know, there's a thing like if someone gets let go for cause, it's usually based on an incident. But in these cases, both with Lemon and with Tucker Carlson, you can talk about isolated incidents, but it was a pattern of behavior that they were concerned with. And when it's a pattern of behavior, you have time to bring them in, to talk to them, and to gracefully allow them to leave. And there was no one thing that they had to react to that would be forgivable in this case. But so the way they both handled it was poor. I agree with Shaquille in that case, and that sentiment. Just if you want people to think you're a classy organization, that's not the way to proceed. But did they both deserve it? Yes, I think so. And even though Lemon has had a good career and has been respected in the past, his remarks were out of line, and he didn't show a kind of a remorse that you would normally associate with it. And so I think there was some backlash that was going to harm CNN in general, and maybe they needed to do it. But the way you do it is with class, not with just like taking the guy who's worked for you for 17 years and just saying, look in your email box. You got a message.
So CNN's been trying to position itself to be more conservative. They're going after this elusive and possibly non-existent middle of the road viewer.
Yeah, for a long time.
Well, I'd love to hear Shaquille's. I mean, hold on a second. I'd love to hear Jacoby's thoughts about what I'm about to bring up, because apparently there was a recent conference that took place about the media and all in that space, and it's actually very interesting. It was a conference among the media figures. There were journalists from CNN, the New York Times, the Atlantic, CBS, NBC, and they were among the panelists at this conference that was taking place this past weekend. And they said that there is, quote unquote, are you ready for this? This is what the headline said. And there is a perception of condescension. So that's apparently they are admitting that folks have a perception that they are being condescending toward the public. So I was wondering your thoughts around this. Is this a true perception? And I've got to find out who was sponsoring this conference, but is there an actual perception of condensation, and is that part of the reason that we had these firings?
Who are you asking
is that question for me or Tony?
One thing, Fox.
Anybody chime in? Go ahead. Anybody chime in, and I'll bring some more about it.
Fox
Anybody
News,
wants to chime in, go.
Which is Fox News for the past 25 years, has been working to convince its viewers that they're smart. As long as they embrace Fox News's points of view, They're smart. And now it's been called, I don't know what, a culture of, well, and every Americans have been, for decades, have been told that what you think is kind of automatically correct. So we're now skeptical of anything and overly trusting in our own knowledge, which would lead to attitudes like that you can't tell me what to think because I'm smarter than the people on whatever network.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
I have to take some exception to that, and you know, this panel is very left. Okay, I don't think that it is fair that you're going to insult the viewers of Fox News by saying that Fox News is convincing people of a certain viewpoint. Okay, there are people out there who aren't hateful, who just have reasons why they don't necessarily agree with some of the points of that the Democrats raise. Now, without talking
he
about
was
the hot
talking about
button issues,
Americans. He was talking about Americans, not Fox News viewers. Americans are
Well, I'm talking
they're smart. They're smarter than you are.
okay, but Rick said that Fox News is convincing its viewers that they're intelligent, which implies that they're not otherwise intelligent. It requires Fox News to convince them of that.
No,
Let me just say.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. Let me just say, when you really break politics down in the Western world between centre-left and centre-right parties, the overwhelming majority of people in any of the major Western countries are fairly moderate in their views. People understand, for example, the sort of base issue is, workers' rights, which are protected by unions or represented by unions, versus corporations' rights and corporations wanting to be competitive and have access to affordable labour. Okay, there are people that understand both sides of that argument that are going to talk about or prioritise certain things over other things. Not every Republican, wants to see the workers just. Who cares? Who cares about homeless people? Who cares about healthcare? That's not the position of every Republican voter. Neither is it the position of every Democrat voter that we should trans every kid at 4 years of age and we should have post-birth abortion. But those are the issues that are talked about by major TV networks. And I think that I don't do that when I talk about Don Lemon. I don't say, well, his viewers are just subscribing to a particular view and he's influencing them and telling them they're right and they're really idiots. I don't do that. And I don't think that it's a rational, reasonable thing to do to say that about people who don't share your political view, that are watching Fox because there isn't really any other centre-right media outlet in the United States, and Sky News in Australia is associated with the same sort of company. There isn't another centre-right news outlet in Australia, or certainly a TV network in Australia. And to paint everybody who watches that with the same brush, that we're all just idiots.
No,
that's a really unfair thing to say.
I want to agree with Shaquille. I want every news, MSNBC, people who watch Rachel Maddow like to compliment themselves on their own intelligence. I'm watching her. She's saying something complicated. I must be very smart. Every network does the same thing that Fox does, compliments its viewers just in slightly different ways. And a major problem is, I'm a jackass on Twitter, and I'm a jackass here somewhat. And everybody on Twitter is a loud jackass. And on the right, on the left, we're all just yelling, and it's hard to know what people who aren't loud jackasses are thinking, because the conversations are dominated by the loudest people.
No, along the same lines.
Tucker Carlson gets a lot of criticism for his recent coverage of January 6th, where McCarthy gave him the footage. He selectively edited that footage. And I watched the episode, and he essentially said, look, these weren't really insurrectionists. They were just sightseers, and the police, walked them through the Capitol. Now, look, everybody knows that I'm pretty centre-right. I'm not a hard right-winger, but I'm pretty centre-right. But if you look at Australian politics, I'm a liberal through and through. I thought that was absolutely absurd. It was entertaining. It was really entertaining. but it was absurd.
Well, that's
Okay,
exactly
but
what I'm
to
saying.
suggest that people that are watching that show or other Fox News shows are going to look at something like that and go, well, yeah, okay, well, I didn't realize that they were just sightseers. They were just checking out the Capitol as they should. That's not going to be that persuasive. Just like when Dom Lemon said that Nikki Haley was past her prime and said, "Don't shoot the messenger, just Google it." I don't think there was very many people that were watching that episode that went, "You're right. A woman in her 50s? Absolutely. She's past her prime. I never thought of it that way before." Of course people are going to do that.
May I add something to what you just said? Whatever Hitler was saying in the 30s was also highly entertaining, although not true. And
Sasha,
hold on, I didn't finish. Shaquille, I didn't
why do you want to equate
Number
Tucker
one.
Carlson to Hitler?
No, he's maybe worse than Hitler.
Yeah, he's not
I'm gonna
Hitler's
add
brother.
Oh, he's worse than Hitler. Come on,
Not
Sasha.
I'm going to
Hitler's
add
brother.
something to it also. Hold on. That Fox News and its audience, it's a very unique situation because only those people, 70 million plus, they can watch only Fox News. They cannot watch any other station, period. So they were so indoctrinated by Tucker Carlson and like him. So they are in their own world. They cannot accept any other views. They cannot listen to MSNBC or CNN even for 30 seconds. Period.
Jatovi, I'm absolutely. I'm going to be quiet a second. I just have to respond to that, Sasha. It is so incredibly insulting to so many people to equate Tucker Carlson or even Donald Trump to Hitler. Okay, what Hitler did and what the Nazis did was one of human history's most egregious offenses. That is such an unfair thing to say. And let me just say to you, Sasha, I watch Fox News, but I also watch CNN. I also watch ABC. Okay, because I study finance markets. You're suggesting that every single person that watches Fox News doesn't watch anything else. That's ridiculous. And to Nicole Maxwell, who's just put in, I didn't say he was a communist. That was Nick, if you don't mind. I didn't say that he was a communist.
I didn't say he was a communist. I said he's on the Communist News Network.
Yeah, but I didn't say that. So let's just let that record.
What I wanted to say is what Hitler's crime was more than anything else to brainwash his audience very successfully for a number of years. And what Fox News and Tucker Carlson are doing, they're brainwashing their audience. Now,
Sasha, Hitler's crime was that he perpetrated a violent genocide against a group of people, and whatever his reasons are for that, it was absolutely outrageous. It is shocking to every human being, and that is not the same. That is not the same as a talk show host who comes out and says things that you Sasha don't happen to agree with.
Lie. This is exactly what Hitler did. He started with a big lie, and he started to go on and on. He first,
okay, maybe not Hitler.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Come on, guys. Let's move past this.
Hold on one second.
Hold on. That's what we
hold on one second. Hold on. I want to say that one of the things that I don't think any of us would argue, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but because I want to get back to the quote that I gave, and then I want to hear Jacoby's thoughts about this. But the Atlantic is not exactly a right-wing paper. It's actually, I would argue, more to the left side. And Tim Alberta is the one that brought up the notion.
If you would argue it's to the left, okay.
Huh?
You would argue the Atlantic is to the left. Okay.
Yeah,
You're not sure.
I would argue
You're
that,
not sure.
The Atlantic staff writer, Tim Alberta, acknowledged the distrust Americans across the country have towards the media. This is the exact quote. There is going to be a perception, and that perception is rooted in something real. We all need to acknowledge a perception of condescension, of looking down your nose at these people, of wanting to come there and caricature them and sort of judge them. That sounds like a very good and accurate quote that can be said of both the left and the right. I would love to hear other folks' thoughts about what.
Well, Jatovi's had his hand up for like an hour. Let's listen to Jatovi. Then Jamid. We can't hear you when you have your mic on.
Hey, you're muted.
Yeah, we still can't hear you, Jatovi.
Still muted.
I don't think you're muted. I'm not sure that your mic is actually connected or something because we can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Jacoby.
You don't hear you, Joey. Do you have it on some other system that you got going on?
There we go. Had to fix
There
it.
we go.
Yeah,
There we
gotcha.
go. Okay, let's listen
So,
to the rate.
Just to touch on a couple of things. We have to realize that every media network does have a slight slant to it. Every media network talks to its viewers in that slight slant. However, there are media networks that are extremely slanted, such as Fox News, such as OAN and all the other ones. There are some. HuffPost is actually leaning more left, but there are, like, the Atlantic is more down the center than any of the other ones, CNN, so on and so forth. So yes, every news network speaks to their group or their collection of populace in their language, so they speak in their bubble. Fox News, since we're talking about Fox, for example, Fox has an extremely right slant. They speak, especially now, in a lot of conspiracy theories, a lot of the stuff that they pull. Hence the reason Tucker Carlson was one of the biggest conspiracy theory people, also extremely bigoted, anti-Semitic, racist.
Oh,
He pushed a lot of stuff.
cut it out, Toby. That's
Stop.
Shaq,
Shaq, I raised my hand the whole time.
correct.
Shaq, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. I raised my hand the whole time and listened to your crap.
Okay, well, to continue with your mischaracterization.
Stop, Shaq. Let it go. Now, Tucker Carlson, it's well documented that he has an extremely bigoted, anti-Semitic views. This is why he was booted from a lot of other places. The reason Don Lemon was pushed off the air was, yes, he had his issues with his morning hosts. He had the misogynist views that came to light, but also the behind-the-scenes stuff that came to light as well. He was also tied to Cuomo really tightly, and Cuomo tried to throw him under the bus. So Don's time was when they shifted him from that 9 o'clock time zone to the end. Don Lemon, his time was very limited. And once he started having problems with the two co-hosts, the ladies that he was working with at the beginning, then Don Lemon was gone. But again, going back to in terms of your Fox News viewership, Fox News has the viewership or the highest percentage, and this is all documented again. You can look up the statistics. They have the highest percentage of lower educated individuals watching the show. Hence the reason why a lot of people say that Fox News is training their viewers more so than any other network, because that lower educated viewer is susceptible to that individual telling them that, hey, January 6th really wasn't real. It was just actually a tourist visit. Hence the reason, again, Shaq. That's why Tucker pushed it. That's why Hannity pushed it. That's why they lost the suit against Dominion and are about to lose the suit against the other voting the voting system that they're about to have to pay out. Yeah, they're going to have to pay out Smartmatic because they just lost that other case. So it is proven that Fox lies. And the reason that they lie is because their lower educated voters just take their word as God, don't look into what they're telling them, and they move on and they're done. So that's why there's
you say such inflammatory things.
I agree with Jacoby in many ways, but I also think it's the paid by sponsors and the advertising that dictate what they do as well, and what they support in the views that they support. But it was all public, trying to push agenda and trying to guide people. It was to incite fear in people so that you make them believe what you want them to believe, and instead of telling the truth. And I believe Tucker was worse of all of these. To bring up Don, I truly believe that he never got a chance to make his argument publicly known. I think that he was fighting a lot of hate internally and a lot of back things in the backstage where people were probably not as nice to him because maybe he of his choices in life. and I think he was dealing with a lot of that, prejudice that was out there that he never got to publicly make people aware of. And somebody caught him and just venting, and then it backfired on him. But I think that there's greater places for him in the future. Not whether I liked him or not, I think that he's going to have a better place in the future somewhere else. But I think Tucker was very wrong because he did nothing but out and out lie to push his agenda. Yeah, Jim.
Yeah, thanks. I don't feel sorry for them. They're both going to land on
Jim, we can't hear you.
Oh, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you, Jim.
It's good.
Okay. They're both going to land on their feet. I'm not worried about that. But the question was asked about, was the media condescending towards us? And
We can't hear you, Jim.
Yeah,
No,
we
we
can.
can hear him.
The rest of us can, Kim. The rest of us can hear him.
We can.
Yeah, we can hear him.
Hear you.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
All the rest of us can.
Just chat to Kim for me, someone that.
No. Jim, we can hear you. Everybody else can hear you. For some reason, Kim can't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
Kim,
right.
your
I'm going to
speaker's not
continue speaking. And like I say, I don't feel sorry for either one of them. They're both going to land on their feet. I thought it was classless the way that the networks handled it. There's really no excuse for it. There wasn't any incendiary thing that they had to react to. But Mark was asking a question about whether the media was condescending. And I think Rick's answer was totally misrepresented. Everybody's a little bit condescending. Of course, Obama was nailed to his feet to the fire for being condescending when he just was speaking the way he naturally speaks. So it's all perception. It's all in what you're perceiving. And, to characterize Fox Network as center right is kind of strange. Let's put it that way. It's a minority viewpoint. It's clearly a far right organization. They clearly were conspiracy theory oriented. They clearly were letting QAnon people onto their network and having all the airtime they wanted. It was just a crazy type of thing that was being communicated as news when it was in fact purely entertainment. And I don't mind people being entertained however they want to be entertained. It's cool with me, but just don't pass it off as facts. You're entitled to your opinion. You're not entitled to your own facts.
Thank you.
The other thing that I wanted to say is, you never build yourself up by tearing someone else down. So, don't say, so-and-so is bad, to make yourself look good. What we're talking about here is a fundamental characteristic of the American society, how it is easy. What Sasha was saying is you can manipulate people. They believed in the big lie. These people were just normal citizens, and they were pumped up that the election was stolen. It was a huge lie. They stormed the Capitol. They were armed. They were wanting to hang the vice president. Come on, people. This is the kind of thing that we cannot allow in a democratic society. And we do it by entertaining, and not just entertaining, I would say, but informing. We want to put emphasis on the truth and not lies. And the other thing is I wanted to circle back to what Kim was saying earlier. Nobody is too big to fail. Bill O'Reilly failed. Bill O'Reilly was putting on a bestseller every other month. Come on, that guy was torn down. And so when these guys get too big for themselves and they think that they're so big they can't fail, they're riding for a fall. And Tucker Carlson, the thing that got him was his private emails. The things that were going to be, because of discovery, they were going to become public. And Fox couldn't.
Thank you.
So
Can I respond? Can I respond now?
No, you're not.
Rick, you go first. I'll go next.
No, Rick has got his hand up.
All right,
You
so
gotta
Bill
learn that.
O'Reilly, just to remind people, had to pay out $32 million for sexual harassment. But what I don't understand is not that many people watch these news channels. Fox's highest rated shows pull about 3 million viewers. The total viewership of the CNN plus MSNBC, again, about 3 million. But 74 million people voted for Trump. 81 million people voted for Biden. So I don't understand exactly how you go from these little, 3 million people watching a channel to how that somehow infects, 1/3, 1/2 of the population with a particular point of view.
Also, check this out. This is funny. When we're talking about, to just jump back still to Tucker Carlson, to point out, you can, again, his racism and bigotry is well documented. and you cannot say he wasn't racist or this and that when
Yeah, I
his
can, and I do.
Hold on, chat. Listen. When his writer, one of his writers, is writing on Twitter, would you let a jet black Congo N-word do LASIK eye surgery on you for 50% off? I wouldn't let a LASIK from an Asian for free. So no. Is that racist, Shaq?
Well, I don't know the quote. Toby, and my experience.
Gave you the quote.
Yeah, but my experience with yourself and a few other people.
Stop. I'm not going to let you.
You want to answer the question or not?
Is what he said racist?
I don't know the quote, and my experience with yourself. Do you want me to respond or not? Can I respond or not?
Go ahead.
My experience with yourself and many other people on this network
your experience with
is that you mischaracterized the
writer said.
I thought you said I could respond.
Was it racist what this writer said?
Again, can I respond to you?
Don't give me our experience.
Okay. So I'll take it. The answer. I'll take it that the answer is no. I can't. No, that's okay. That's okay, Jacoby. I'll take it. The answer is no. I can't respond. You're not interested in my answer, and I'll just move on. So let's move on.
Was it racist?
So, well, I tried to answer you, and you don't want to hear my answer. So, which is perfectly okay. If you don't want to hear my answer, that's perfectly okay. All right. Let's just move on to the next topic.
Because you cannot say it was racist, you're moving on and avoiding the topic.
No, I'm telling you why. I'm telling you why I can't give you a yes or no answer. And if you don't want to hear why I can't give you a yes or no answer, that's perfectly okay. I won't force the answer upon you. You've asked a question. If you're not interested in the answer, I won't give it to you.
Move on.
Okay.
I'm done with that question because you can't even something that is obviously racist. You can't even say it's racist because you're a fan of the individual that you're sitting here protecting.
No, hang on a second. I'm not a fan of the individual. I watched Don Lemon. I watched Don Lemon as much as I watched Tucker Carlson. No, you see, just excuse me for a second. I was trying to respond to you.
Congo N-word do LASIK eye surgery on you for 50% off. You cannot tell me that is not racist.
And then you say, yes, it's a racist comment, Shaquille, and then you expound on what you
No,
think.
Jimmy, you don't need to put words in my mouth.
No,
that's not what my answer is going to be. No, but that's not because he's not letting me respond, and I'm not going to concede and say yes, it's a racist comment, and then go on to say something else. That's not what I'm going to do.
No.
My answer to Tovi is I don't know the quote that you're referring to.
Because you cannot say
that was now my fifth or sixth attempt to answer the question and to explain why I'm having a problem answering the question, and he doesn't want to hear it. He doesn't want to hear it. And isn't it so interesting? Isn't it so interesting?
You cannot say it's racist.
It's a racist comment, Shaquille.
Yes. It's a racist comment, and your comment is, I can't say that's racist. That tells me a lot about you.
When did I say that I can't say it's racist? I said I don't know the quote. I said I don't know the quote, and you wouldn't even let me finish my answer. You wouldn't let me finish my answer.
You're digging yourself a hole here you can't get out of. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm not digging any hole. I'm not digging any hole. I said I'm not familiar with the quote.
You can say.
So why don't you just let me finish? What are you so afraid of? Tell me, what are you so afraid of that you can't let me finish?
Eye surgery on you for 50%.
There's a guy interrupts every other player here, and then he says you can't let us finish. Come on, Shaquille, get with the program. What we're here.
I sat quiet for ages. I've sat quiet for ages. Okay. I've sat quiet for ages. You know, you guys. It's really funny.
Everybody's.
No, Shaquille, hold on 1 second. No, hold on a second, Shaquille. If you will go ahead, because I think part of where you're going is that you don't know the context of the quote and everything. And I do remember the context that you gave me one time because we had this whole conversation around something that was said by our lieutenant governor. And then after we had a conversation, it was said that part of that was taken out of context. So maybe if you share a little bit of that story, it might clarify
Mark, you're trying to give him an out. In what context is that not racist?
At least you can
Again,
say
if you let me
boundary.
actually answer, like if I could have 20 seconds, Toby, without you interrupting me, I'll just finish the one sentence I was trying to say. I don't know the quote. From what you've said, that sounds really racist and really inflammatory. However, I know from my personal experience with yourself and a few other people that you mischaracterize the things that I say. So I don't know whether you're mischaracterizing that quote. Okay. And I'm just gonna make this point. Isn't it funny how I didn't ever defend Tucker Carlson on this show? All I said was I thought it was a poor move from Fox News that would alienate their viewers. That doesn't mean that their viewers are good people or bad people. I didn't make any comment on that. I also said that I thought it was a poor move from CNN not to let Dom Lemon say goodbye. But isn't it interesting that I say that, which was, I thought, a pretty down the middle, objective kind of thing to say, where I wasn't taking a side.
And I
But we
agree
have
with you.
Jim Aid, we have Jim Aid, who's a Democrat, who thankfully agreed with me in part. Rick Rosner, who's a Democrat. Sasha Starr, who, if he was American, would be a Democrat. We have Kimberly Calhoun, who's a Democrat. We have Mark Lee, who's a Democrat. And we have Tatovi, who's a Democrat. Now, I'm not American, okay? People say that if I was American, I'd be a Republican.
Jack, I'm going to sue you for calling me a Democrat.
But yet I am constantly referred to as the right
I'm
winger.
not a Democrat,
I am constantly referred to as the extreme conservative. Okay, constantly belittled when I say things as if I am somehow some kind of, tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. All I have ever done is try to point out what I believe are issues in both Republican and Democratic policies when you guys ask me. When you ask me about Australia, I talk about the two parties here and what the positives and negatives of their policies are. But yet, you guys, because I'm not prepared to do what you guys just did, which was attack Tucker Carlson, but support Dom Lemon, that, maybe there was things behind the stage and it was racist and all that, because I'm not prepared to say that somehow makes me some extreme right winger. Somehow this, with this colourful Fijian shirt on, somehow this is the new face of Anglo-Saxon conservatism. Give me a break. No, I'm not having a meltdown. I'm not having a meltdown. I'm just responding to some of the vitriol that is pointing my
perfectly
way from people
reasonable,
on this panel.
We're talking about.
I've got a question for Shaquille that's totally off this subject and doesn't even belong on this show. But Shaquille, you're a skilled investor. Are you positioning your investments to protect against the risk that the U.S. might default on its debt this summer?
I believe, Rick, that's a really serious concern. The way that I invest is essentially immune to those sorts of issues because I'm a non-directional investor. But certainly if I was directional, I'd be very, very concerned. I would be wanting to protect myself against those risks.
Thanks.
Toby, go for it.
Shaquille, may I interject? When you mentioned about my views, in Canada, I'm a very, very conservative person, and I vote always for Progressive Conservative Party. As United States preferences, before 2016, my views were largely conservative and Republican. Now, when Trump became a president, my views didn't change much, except that I could not accept Trump with his views and his behavior and his history to bring myself even to consider to share Republican views, period. Although before him, I shared Republican views.
Sasha, I appreciate that there's a lot of animus towards Donald Trump. I do. Okay. Yes. And forget about the animus from Democrats. There's animus with Republicans. He went after Jeb Bush and said some pretty nasty things, not just about Jeb Bush, but also about his family, about George Bush, but both George Bush presidents. Okay. He even at one point, which I thought was totally out of line, went after George Bush's mother, which, to me, that's just not something that you should have done. Okay. He went tit for tat with Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz kind of held his own. He went tit for tat with Rubio. There's lots of things. I thought that, I forget her name, is it Carly Fiorino, something like that, the woman who was the former CEO of Hewlett Packard. I thought she was a good candidate. Okay, but I understand that there's animus towards Donald Trump, but I constantly get labeled as if I'm somehow some, incredible Donald Trump supporting right-wing extreme person.
I've
I'm
never
not
labeled you that
but
way.
you guys focus in, and the way that you guys frame the things that you say.
I don't
Okay.
understand. I don't
That
understand what you're saying. I've never done
everybody
that.
who supports. Okay, well, I'll exclude you, Jim, because you haven't been on a lot of the recent shows. A lot of the things that you guys say is so demeaning and insulting to people who may have voted for Donald Trump, who didn't vote for him because they thought that when he said grab a lady by her, nether regions, they didn't vote for him because they thought that was great. They voted for him because maybe they were sick of the establishment. There's a lot of reasons why people may have voted for him. They may have voted for him because they thought that he made some really good points about international trade or about taxes or about a whole heap of other things. And what's happening in mainstream media and with a lot of you guys, whether you see it or not, is there's just this constant vitriol. I'm not actually even that political. I'm really actually not. But I get involved in it because of my interest in the finance markets. And when I try to say something to represent both positions, you guys attack me because I'm not being as left-wing as you are. That's ridiculous. And that's exactly what you're doing to everybody else who watches Fox.
Shaquille, hold on. To be very clear on something, I have said several times on this show, I've said several times on the World Edition, I've said several times on several other shows that I have felt that the reason that people voted for both Obama and for Trump was because that they were frustrated by the system and frustrated by the nature of the establishment politicians and everything.
No question.
That clearly several times. So
throw the bums out.
So to make that statement,
but then we go on. But Mark, then we go on to say, that the Trump supporters, everybody who voted for Trump believes that the election was stolen and this and that. Tucker Carlson's audience are uneducated people and they're just influenced by media. I mean, come on now.
I don't hear that.
But you've never heard me say that in a show 01. You can go back and listen back and read all day long. You've never heard me say that. So don't put words in my mouth.
Okay, first I'm gonna establish this base. Can we stop playing this? Shaquille's playing this whole victim game because that's what you're doing right now.
Oh, now I'm a victim. I'm a victim because I stood up for myself. As soon as I push back against you, now I'm playing the victim.
No, you were pathetic.
Shaq, you did do the whole. Hey, everybody's labeling me this. But I just really said this.
Because you are. Because I don't adhere to your viewpoint, so therefore I hate everybody. I'm a racist, I'm a sexist, I'm a homophobe, I'm all those sorts of things.
Shaq, let me finish.
Well,
like you let me. Like you let me to take it, right?
I take a big offense to that right now.
Okay, Kim, I take it back. Kim, I take it back and I apologize if I've mischaracterized you. If I've mischaracterized you, but I'm introduced. I was just introduced.
Call you and
I was just introduced 2 days ago by Steve Rao. I was just introduced 2 days ago by Steve Rao as the conservative from down under. What about me as conservative? What about me as conservative?
I mean, I'm trying to get out my point, but Shaq just won't shut up.
Yeah, I'm learning from you. I'm learning from you, Jacoby. I'm learning from you.
What else you got to say, Shaq? Thank you. So we're going to establish this base. We're not playing this victim card anymore. Now, number one, when we talk about President Trump, yes, people voted for Trump for a multitude of reasons. There were people that fell in love with his fame. That's what they fell in love with. They didn't care about anything else, but they just heard the Trump name, voted for him.
Now, how do you know
they
that?
Had a ton of people that voted for him.
I thought they liked his hair.
They had a ton of he had a huge base and still has a huge base that believes in all of his racist things that he'll post or the conspiratorial things that he'll post. He also still has
because he looked orange and that kind of made him
fits his jumpsuit, which will hopefully happen. But he also has a huge base that still believes in the whole I will never vote for a Democrat. So that's a base there.
I won't ever vote for a Democrat.
An established 32% base that'll vote for Republican, regardless if it's Trump or not. Even though Trump can post as many racist tweets as he wants, people are still going to vote for him based in that 32% range. It's the whole independent market that he's losing. That's why a lot of the actual Republicans that are going against him want to speak out, but won't speak out because they know the base, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's a nut. She'll go out there and grab her
Yes, she
people and
is.
rally behind them,
She is a nut.
or rally behind Trump.
What kind of
she's
nut is
actually
she?
doing right now? Hold on, Dan. Let me finish. Now, that's what's going on with Trump, and that will always happen. So it doesn't matter, and that's the problem with our two-party system, is that we have an established base
Jewish
that will
space
always
laser
vote for
nut.
Republican, and an established base that will always vote Democrat, no matter who's on that Democrat ticket. So that right there is the only equivalence that you can have in terms of the Democrat and Republican parties. Now, when you look at the actual policies, that's when things get crazy, and there is no equivalent. So you cannot try the whole this is two wings of the same bird. It's not. That's a false equivalence. One party's extreme wants to put me back in chains. The other party's extreme.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's such an
He's
overreaction.
right. One party wants to put me in chains.
This is exactly you talk about. Biden talks about unity. Biden talks about unity, and then you talk
They
about
want to put
something like
women in
that.
chains.
You talk about it. Trump had no good policies at all.
And then want to go
Ridiculous.
back to putting women
I
in the
finish?
kitchen barefoot and pregnant.
Can I?
No, they
Yeah,
don't.
exactly. They want to keep us
Exactly.
barefoot
That
and
is also
pregnant
part of it.
and don't want to
Yes,
pay to take care of the babies they
want
want to
to-
force us to have. They want to tell us
Exactly.
our
And it's
body.
Oh, what a bunch of
Spot on.
tripe. What a bunch of
Wait,
tripe.
Dan,
That's
hold
not
on,
true.
Dan.
It's
Dan,
true,
Dan,
Don. It's
wait.
true.
Let me finish, because Kim, you are spot on. Exactly. That is what the Republican Party is currently pushing. They're
That's
legitimately wanting to take away the rights from women, and have done so already in many states. They
Not
want to
just
take
women,
away,
but
they want to take
people.
away rights from the LGBTQ community.
Pushing back on
Thank
voting
you.
rights.
CPAC.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
CPAC, they talked about the genocide of the trans community. So
Yeah.
again, when I say these things, it's not
Genocide of
hyperbole.
trans
It's
community.
actually what is being talked about at
God.
CPAC.
Exactly.
You're
MTG
absolutely
Tell
nuts.
us what
So
God would
that is
do.
what's happening right now.
Jatovi,
Hold on,
let's
let me
not
finish.
let's
Let me
not be
finish, Shaq.
let's
Shaq,
let's not be
let me finish.
ridiculous.
Let me
Well,
finish.
hell, we've got a time. We've got 5 minutes left in the show.
Purple people eater, please be quiet. Now, let me finish. Now, when we just
You might
talked
as well go
about
for another 5
pushing this
minutes, mate.
context, when we talked about this pushing this context and trying to add extra context to an obvious racist comment, that is the thread of the GOP currently. And Shaq, when you get labeled as a conservative, it's because a lot of the views that you do push are conservative, and you do tend to push a lot of the Fox talk. Your talk about Don Lemon compared to your talk about Tucker Carlson is completely
I have a
different.
lot of conservative friends. and
Let
I
me-
have a
let me-
lot of investment
J-
friends.
Jatovi,
Okay,
you're
so
full
let me
of
let
crap.
me respond to you, Jatovi. Let me respond to you.
I'm almost done. Almost done with this. Almost done with this.
Hurry up.
And then I think Jim had already called next, so we're going to listen to what Jim has to say.
No, it's all right.
But again, now when we're talking about your Shaq, you try to play the victim of I'm always playing the middle, but you're not. You're really not. I know for a fact that I know I'm not playing the middle. We all have slants in our views. Yours tends to slant way right when you push the Donald Trump is okay, just as you're trying
He
to push.
didn't
okay,
push
well,
Donald
this-
Trump is
And the
okay.
same thing with the.
I've never pushed that Donald Trump
Dan,
is
hold
okay.
on, Dan. Dan, you can wait just a little bit. I'm
Yeah,
almost
but you're a
done.
liar.
I'm
You're a
almost done.
freaking liar.
Oh, here we go with the liar thing.
Yeah,
Shoot,
You
Dan.
are a liar.
No, Dan,
Touche for Dan.
God told
Now,
Dan
I'm
what's the
finished.
truth.
Oh,
So-
I'd appreciate enough time to
One
respond to
last
I
this
thought we
guy.
were
Joe.
fair and
One
balanced.
last thing.
And
One
James,
last
you're
thing.
full of shit.
Yeah, we're-
so
we're-
Oh, there we go with the curse
Oh,
word.
you're a liar.
Oh, Dan, you are okay by me. Now,
I'm gonna get
can I
handcuffs.
finish?
Yeah.
So
Me
what
too.
I'm saying-
Me too.
I'm
Okay.
asking-
I'm a
what I
racist,
am
homophobic.
I agree with
Dan,
that.
cool. Thanks for telling everybody.
I'm not
who you
actually.
really are.
I think you
Now,
are. But
let
I
me
know.
finish.
If you know
So,
anything about me,
if we
it's
get
So we've
back
now got
to-
3 minutes before the show. Can I respond?
I know.
Yeah,
Let
go
me-
ahead.
Let me get you to respond.
3 minutes.
So when we're talking about slants,
No, you
we
don't
have
get a
to
chance
understand
to.
our own slants. And
This-
Shaq, that includes
this
you.
is called
So,
cancel
so in
culture.
terms of
You're
playing the victim, don't play the victim. We know your slant, and when you're trying to play this, don't do that. We know who you are, really.
We know you.
Same thing with you, Dan. We know how.
we know you,
are.
Jacoby. We got you. You
Cancel
are. We
culture.
got you down pat,
Jim.
Jacoby.
Jim
You're
had
racist.
it next.
You're
Take
just
away
a
Jim.
racist-
Dan,
Racist liar.
So we've
Promoting,
now got 2
promoting
minutes.
your agenda. That's all you
We've
do.
now got 2 minutes left. Can I now respond?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Yeah.
you got the floor.
Is that okay with everyone?
You had an
Now,
dominant
now,
thing.
now, now, Jatovi, I've said to you, I've said to you that I'm centre right, but centre right. I'm not an extreme right winger. I've never said that Donald Trump was okay. What I said was what I said was that you characterise all of his supporters as being, supporters of racism or this or that because you think that some of his tweets are racist or because of whatever opinion you have. I am saying that there are some people out there that may actually think that his policy positions on a whole heap of issues from tax to foreign policy may actually be better than Democrats. Now, as soon as I ask a question, when something comes up and I go, okay, well, what was actually said? What actually happened? I'm immediately labelled as an extreme right winger because I haven't accepted at face value what you've said. Now, if you think that by not accepting at face value the things that left media or left people like yourself says indicates that I'm an extreme right winger, well, welcome to the new face of Anglo-Saxon conservatism then. No problems if that's what you want to believe. But that's not who I am. And if you want to go around thinking that and saying that, please don't walk around and go, I wonder why the United States is so divided, because you otherize and make an enemy of anybody who doesn't believe in everything that you believe in.
I don't agree with supporting Moscow over the Ukraine. And, Tucker Carlson did. So there's lots of policy things that I don't agree with about Tucker Carlson. That's not the point of this show. Is why did they get fired? And do you trust the media that they're not condescending to you? Do they trust the media that they're telling you the truth? These are the kinds of questions that we want to back up and look at the very end of this show. And the question is, do they condescend to us? Yes, absolutely. They all do. And they're all pushing their agenda. Yes, they're all pushing their agenda. There's no question about that. And with what you choose when you tune in and listen to somebody, you're choosing an agenda. Make no mistake about that. And I do a lot what Shaq does. I look at it, I spin the dial and I listen. I have one show on MSNBC that I don't miss, and I dabble in other shows, but I don't have anyone else that I follow all the time. And the question is do you have information and facts? And the Dominion suit pointed out that Fox knowingly lied, and let's never forget that somebody had to pay the price, and in this case it was Tucker Carlson. Go ahead, Rick. Your hand is up.
The trouble with talking about Republicans right now is that most Republicans, we're talking about, I don't know, the 60 million people who are Republicans are decent people. I grew up in a Republican household that was a very decent people.
Yes, absolutely.
But
very true.
There are certain Republican politicians, particularly in heavily red states like Montana, who have learned, gerrymandered states, who have learned that they can say and do whatever the F they want to do, however crazy it is, and not suffer electoral consequences. So you have lunatics in holding office who are saying stuff that's way more loathsome than most Republicans believe.
Yeah. And with that, we're going to have to go because this is the end of the hour. Thank all of our viewers. Last year we had 2.3 million views on the network, but that's all of our shows combined. So don't get your head up too high. Anyway,
your head.
Yeah, don't get it too high. That's all.
No, we're not. We're not.
Okay, all right. We'll see you next week on the Media Show. Take care. Bye-bye.